Joining me in this video. Today we're going to look through the Leeds UKTC round 5 matchup I had. So if you've been following the series, you know that I've currently 4-0. The first time I've done that at a super major, and with the 15 or so other people that are X&O, it's obviously going to be a tough game. And we pair up against Josh Roberts, who people probably know is the ITC rankings #1 player at the moment globally. So yeah, could have got an easier matchup, but you don't go through the entire field with easy games. So we go to the table, we say hello to Josh, and we run through the lists. And we're going to recreate the game now on TTS. I do have a couple of videos from live at the event. So yeah, we'll jump through that shortly. I just want to say a huge thank you to anyone that has been commenting or supporting the channel. It's something that I've just sort of started doing semi recently, getting a lot of nice comments on the previous videos, and that they like the format of this. So if there are any improvements that you feel that I can make here to the format, then please do let me know. Please do like and subscribe, and look out for more event reports and bat reports in the future. But we'll jump straight into it now. Thanks.
We deployed like this. Josh got first turn, so we're going to see where he goes. We tried to place the Poxwalkers in positions that stopped him moving his flyers to go and get shots on us first turn. Probably going to lose all the Poxwalkers this turn, but we'll see. It should bring him a little bit closer. He got marked and secure, so yeah. It's going to be a fun game.
One of the main things that we wanted to try and do is really limit the places that he could go with this Storm Raven. And to do that, I decided the best thing to do would be to risk reward, sacrifice the Potswalkers, or if I went first, try and pin them in as much as possible. So the drone went on the side just to be able to threaten the flanks and get potential angles down there. The scouts are pretty good from the spawn. Lets me go to sort of here. I can go backwards if I really want to, or whatever direction, but they are in a good position to be able to sort of hide behind that wall. Got the Land Raider here. It can threaten across the board, moving sort of 8 or 10 out of here. This is why he was so far back with his Calgar unit and Gilliman. He measured out, and basically he wanted an unchargeable distance from to be away from the Land Raider with the disembark. The 10 Plague Marines and Typhus were inside. We've got this drone here, so we can potentially go that way or come down if we need to. Blight Hauler is kind of just going to be a home scorer in this matchup. I can try and potentially pop a Hammer Strike if it gets close, or potentially a Dreadnought, but I need to try and utilize that if I can. And then yeah, these spawns are going to be quite useful to rush this home, or potentially to score me something as my as a if we get area denial or something like that, they can score it in the middle and make him have to send something good out to kill it. He had his combat lieutenant just hiding behind this wall here. As I say, everything else is an unchargeable distance away from this Land Raider. Ballistus inside the Storm Raven is the Eradicators, the Stern Guard, and one of the Dreadnoughts, and then this Hammer Strike was in Deep Strike. He did have the scouts on this objective here. This was, I think, his first drop. He was the defender. So what I've noticed is that 9 inches away from him here, I could place these Potswalkers. And one of the main things that people want to do here with the scouts is put it down here. And obviously, if they go first, they just scout 6 inches behind here, and they're 1 inch away from the wall, obviously making it very difficult for them to charge. If I went first, I could move these the 6 inch scout, move them to 8, and pretty much get a guaranteed charge into them, which would be a really solid start to the game for me. And then this Potswalker player I was really happy with. It left me 9 inches away from here, so I can have a 4 inch charge into this Hammer Strike and try and tie it up. Let's say get the scouts down here onto these, and hopefully do that. But unfortunately, we do end up going second, and Josh does go first. Just to explain what we've done up here, we've got the Potswalkers hiding in this sort of area. I probably should have put them up against the wall, but obviously I don't want them to be charged. So they were 1 inch in this wall, and hoping to not be able to be seen here, but I think he does manage to get them. And then these Potswalkers were kind of like the sacrificial lamb. I really didn't want the Storm Raven to be able to move and to be able to shoot down this angle because I had to have it so that the Land Raider's sort of bum was just sticking out. So if he was able to move, disembark the Eradicators and the Ballistas and get the angle with the Storm Raven, turn one, I would have been in big trouble with this Land Raider. So me putting these Potswalkers here just meant that he could not physically fit the Storm Raven anywhere in this area. So he would either have to come down here or he and do whatever. But for 50 points, sacrificing that and they're off the objective. We're not playing kill more mission. It's just taking hold. So yeah, I thought it was worth the gamble because if these guys go first as well, these guys can just advance and try and keep a line there. These guys will spread out again to try and stop this from happening. The spawns can come up and we can try and control this half of the board. And he's quite far away from everything. He does have an advance and charge, obviously with Stormlance, but that was the plan. Try and go first, but we didn't. So let's move to Josh's first turn. So for Josh's first turn, he does get secure no man's land and mark for death. I think I gave him some difficult thing to him to do on mark for death. I think the drones and Tallyman. He obviously wasn't going to do it, and he marks the top Potswalkers for the easy marked and secure. He can pretty easily get. He's already got it with the scouts here, and he just brings his combi lieutenant on as just a touch on this one here. So obviously it's tempting me to bring something out, but it's an easy 7 points for him there. He does end up absolutely obliterating the Potswalkers with all the shooting, and I think he manages to get the ballistas just in line of sight of the Potswalkers. He doesn't kill all of them. I think there's two that survive. But yeah, he's done his sort of job there. Storm Raven kind of shuffle. They just does a bit of a shuffle with the rest of it, and the Storm Raven comes to bat here. He toes on to the home objective there, and it's obviously still wary of this potential charge that I could do with the out of the Land Raider. It would be a bit chaotic to do, but could happen. These scouts do end up coming through, and I think he ends up in a sort of a weird formation, kind of like a T, and ends up like that. And then the hammer strike doesn't want to be shot down this angle, so it just ends up doing that. But he does manage to pick up these Potswalkers as well. So that was it. A nice, quick and easy first turn from Josh. We'll move on to mine. My first turn, I get engage on all fronts and sabotage. So, sorry, they did scout up there just to keep the angles off. So I've got the option now, and I'm obviously playing the Champions of Contagion. So killing a character first turn is pretty big. Obviously, with the double oath of Gilliman, the -1 to hit, it is useful, but it can just be negated. But it's still really powerful. We did go for -1 to hit the first turn because there was nothing particularly to do with that. Oh, these did also scout just under here, as I did previously mention. So yeah, we do end up going for a little play down here with the spawn. Obviously, going into the next turn for him, he's going to be scoring primary, so we want to try and limit it. So he definitely does have a hold more against us. So these guys come out there 8, and I think it ends up being like a 7-inch charge or something into this dude. Coming through the wall, obviously, whatever it was. And then these guys, I decided the best thing to do with them would be to advance. I think I got 6 on the advance, so I wanted to keep these as relatively safe as I could. Obviously, put some OC on this point and spread this potential contagion out to certain places. And these Potswalkers, I thought, well, they're not going to be doing anything for me. They passed the battle shock, so let's just keep them sort of semi-safe behind this wall where the spawns were. I didn't think that it was worth popping the bloat drone out to try and shoot the ballistas. It's obviously okay doing that, but we don't have the Lord of Virulence yet on the board to give us the rerolls to hits. So I thought it should be safe enough down here. So just sort of leave it in place. And then this guy just comes and makes sure that we can score primary next turn. Obviously, I don't think he would be able to do anything with the Tallyman, but just shore that up. The blow launcher comes down here just to potentially get some shots. I don't think it can shoot anything this turn, but we want to move across this way. He's kind of light in this corner, and we want to reinforce and try and do as much as we can down here. And then the play that we end up going for, and I've debated about whether this was the correct play or not, but the reactive move from the lieutenant, obviously he just does that as part of his data sheet, so he doesn't have to spend the CP for it. But it doesn't trigger if we do a disembark from a moved vehicle. So what we end up doing is we get the Plague Marines and out. We've also moved everything down here, and we're thinking about our sabotage. We could potentially have done it up here, but again, if you stand on there because the bloat drone's taller than the rune, you'd be able to be shot from every which way. The spawn advanced, so you couldn't do it there. So we elect to get Typhus out just in hiding in this corner to be able to do sabotage. So he's just chilling in there for this turn. And then we do get the Plague Marines out. We don't really have any shooting because there's no good targets to shoot, but we end up disembarking the Land Raider from with the Plague Marines, and we leave at least one guy on here. Everyone else is sort of just dotted around, but we've got a 6-inch charge into this lieutenant, and we do end up making it. And the aim here is I really wanted to be as far over in this corner as I could. Obviously, they could potentially charge me through the wall, but this unit is a really good fire overwatch unit. So I'd try and be 1 inch off the wall if I could. And also, if I make it so that he has to charge this unit, or there's still a lot of people in this unit, I've got the 1 CP fights first with them. So if I can get these in the right sort of place, then I should be able to cause him a bit of a headache. We roll low, and I think it was, with it being a 6, I think I rolled a 7 maybe, and because I had to get out, disembark awkwardly out of the Land Raider, I think it was like some of the Plague Marines were down here. So with the 7-inch movement and then the pile in, I only got to sort of this line, which meant that some of the people were sort of still out in the open. So it probably wasn't the best. I think if I ended up rolling bigger, I would have obviously been a lot happier. But we went for it, and obviously these guys murder the combi lieutenant, lethal sustain 5s. So he dies, and we're reasonably happy. We're 1 inch. We do end up being 1 inch off the wall, but we are on this sort of visible on this line, and this is where we're going to get punished. The other thing that does happen is we do make the charge into the scouts down here. We end up not being able to base because obviously against the wall, but he goes there. Scouts do spawn do spawn things to the scouts, and we only kill one of them, even though we're damage to 4 up save. We only kill one, but we do end up doing something quite good. So we pile in and base, which means that if he elects to do his pile in, he has to base to base. And he ends up coming around here, which means he doesn't have his OC on this point. These are only OC 1, so we've stopped him scoring primary, which is very good for us. We do some morts back from his attacks. I think he does wound a couple of times, and we kill another one there. So we've stopped him scoring primary here, and obviously here. So he's only scoring for the 5 primary for taking hold, which is very good for us. That's something we're going to try and do for the rest of the game, because obviously he's got a very limited amount of resources to actually stand on the points. So if we can keep his primary down, then we're going to be okay. So that was our first turn. We do end up scoring the sabotage, but engage scores for 2. And we'll move on to
so we managed to kill the combat lieutenant with the death by moving and disembarking 3. Made the charge. We charged with the spawn here today, deny the points there, which was good. We are sort of prepared now to see how much damage we take this round. They are his main oath. Go turn 2 by the looks of it. So we'll see how it ends up.
Turn 2 then for Josh, and it's obviously going to be his go turn here. As I mentioned, he's kind of set up in a position where I've asked him the question is, are you going to kill this Plague Marine brick? And how are you going to do it? And it turns out they have a lot of firepower, and they can do it probably quite easily. So he does want to deal with these spawn down here as well if he can. He ends up falling back with the scouts, so he's got the OC on the point now, and he does bring the hammer strike down. just so he's got angles on things, and to make sure he can do that. I think that one just kind of comes down here, and then Bobby G comes so that he can charge the whatever is left of the Plague Marines. The Ballistas wanders over down here, obviously getting the angle down here. The Storm Raven moves its 20 inches over here, and then it disembarks. And I thought that this was safe. I thought with the it would have had to do an advance to be able to get the probably not the blisters because obviously it's quite a wide base to be able to do that, but to be able to get the eradicators out, that was maybe something I should have pre-measured, just to make sure, and I kind of end up losing resources for the sake of it. Well, for no real reason there. But yeah, the spawn also could have potentially have gone a little bit higher up just to stop that base from entering this line. So yeah, it's something to just note is yeah, I could have potentially stopped this happening if I'd have measured this out. What looked to be not right, then I could have stopped it from happening. But he does end up being able to get line of sight onto the drone, and he does obviously murder these spawn with all the shooting that's down here. And then before the Storm Raven moved, the Stern Guard squad got out of it. So they got out of it and they advanced, but they only rolled a 1, so they used the free reroll. And what they were doing is just basically setting up a little conga line down here to be able to get all of their horrible mortal pistol gunshots along with Uriel Ventris in a line to be able to shoot these Plague Marines. And yeah, this hammer strike also was able to shoot them. I believe that the Marnius unit also advanced. They were sort of over here, just trying to get shots on everything as well. So that was his movement, and we do elect to do a rapid ingress, and we do the Lord of Contagion unit. And what I wanted to do was, if he did end up overkilling this with the shooting, I would score primary by having this Death Row Terminator on. And I also wanted to have it so that I was going to be able to move within contagion range of this hammer strike in the next turn. So we sort of spread out like this, so that yeah, obviously we'd be able to get the 6-inch deep strike onto that with the next Terminator unit, and we'd be able to potentially hold primary if he shot this unit too hard and meant that he wasn't able to charge with Bobby G. But that was sort of what went on down there. So yeah, the spawn get absolutely rinsed by, I think, the Storm Raven, and the Eradicators and the Ballistas pop the drone. And then the Plague Marines get absolutely annihilated by all of the mortal wounds, and the Ballistas, I think, shoots, and I end up having to choose which one of these two pop, and I think I keep the Putrefier because obviously because it got the character kill for the unit in melee, it ends up being OC7. He's obviously not going to survive being meleeed by Bobby G, but the thought was there, always leave obviously your highest OC model if you can. And then he kills one spawn in the shooting. I think one managed to survive. So that was it. And yeah, he does make the charge with Bobby G. And it was just outside of a heroic, so I wasn't able to heroic with the Death Shroud. And yeah, he does obviously die. So not great. We've lost a big powerhouse unit with the Plague Marines. We've lost a drone for free. We've lost the spawn unit. But we have made a play here in the middle with rapid ingress for the Lord of Contagion, so we have to try and hit back hard if we can. He did get extend back lines because he obviously holds the middle and I think down here on the middle. And he got area denial, but only got it for 2 because obviously we were within 3 of the middle. Another reason why we made the rapid ingress play. So that was the end of his 2. Lost a lot of resources, but we can see what we can do next. So my turn 2. Let's figure out what we can do. We do get extend battle lines and overwhelming force. So we've got a couple of things that are on the objectives. mainly Bobby G, the Hammer Strike, and the Scouts. So this I kind of think to myself, if I kill Bobby G, all of his units are in the top left of the board, pretty much. He's obviously got the Hammer Strike down here and the other one here. But if I kill Bobby G, I'm in a good position. So we set ourselves up to do that. So he moved his 10 up to here, is in melter range. These guys did as I said, they made it an unfailable charge and moved so that this guy was within 6 for contagion range. The bloat drone moved 10 down here just to be able to shoot whichever which way. And then the Land Raider also moved down there, had angle down there. Typhus, with his base size and the position he was in, he couldn't clear the wall with 5 inches. So we just ended up being able to see Bobby G, obviously for his mortals. And that was pretty much it. These Poxwalkers just kind of annoyingly stood there. Could potentially have screened with them, just maybe move them across. But I think I just left them there for now. Again, it's part of my game that I need to probably improve is just even if you feel like there's nothing to do with the unit, there's probably something that you can do with the unit. So I need to get better at that. But these guys do come down. We want to get as many flamers as we can into Bobby G again. So these were a 6-inch charge away from this Hammer Strike, and then everything's just going to go into Bobby G. So we put the Blight Hauler into him. I think we get a couple of wounds through with the melters, but it saves them both. All of the flamers from all of these 2 units go in, and I think we do maybe 3 or 4. Typhus does his mortals, and it goes off, and I get 1. And then down here, I've tried to pick up the Hammer Strike because I was able to see it with the shooting, and we do end up picking the Hammer Strike. One thing to note is he actually rapid ingressed the Hammer Strike down here as well. So he wanted to obviously potentially stop the primary there. So we put the blast cannons. Yeah, so we shot the Hammer Strike dead because we needed to obviously protect the vehicles down this side of the board. And then yeah, we ended up leaving Bobby G on 3 wounds. And I was umming and ahhing before I shot this unit of whether I should have just grenaded with the low contagion, which would have been able to based on the movement. And I should have just done it. It's one of those. I mean, one of those things you think about. I was like, oh, I've got all this shooting, but realistically, the melters, everything he was saving on the 4-up, and all of the mortars you get with a grenade are just free. He's not going to be able to save them. So there's still a way to do this though, because obviously I want to kill him in the face so he gets up and then charge him. So we do charge with the Blight Hauler, and we try Tank Shock, and we've got 9 dice. So on average, we do get the 3 we need, and we only got 2. So yeah, that wasn't great. We do end up making the charge with the Death Shroud. I think we did actually lose one to some shooting, whatever it was, maybe a Hammer Strike shot them. But we definitely only had 2 Death Shroud. And I was trying to figure a way was maybe that we could do something janky with the movement, but there wasn't. Bobby G does die, and there's no way he can come up there, so he ends up coming up over here. And then these guys do make the charge into the Hammer Strike over here. And I did something here. So I based with these guys. The Lord of Virulence obviously couldn't, so I wanted to make it so that with the piling move, the Lord of Virulence would end up on this side of the board, this side of the ruin. The main reason for that is because in an activation, the Death Shroud give the Lord of Virulence the 4-up Feel No Pain. So if you did decide to dedicate a lot of shooting power into the Death Shroud unit, then it's likely that the Lord of Virulence lives, and then he's obviously behind the wall, so he's unshootable. So I'd be scoring the primary if I end up killing this Hammer Strike. So that's what we end up doing there. I think the spawn ends up killing a couple more of the scouts, but one lives. And yeah, so we've only killed one thing on objective because we killed Bobby G. This survives, I think, on 2 wounds. And that was it. So we do get extend battle lines because we hold the center, and we also own the one up here. And next turn, we are limiting him to 5 primary again, which is obviously great for us. We're keeping up on scoring at the moment. Obviously, we've lost a lot more points than him, but I feel like if we got that Bobby G kill and we kill that hammer strike, we're probably in a much better position. But it's just the way that it goes sometimes. So going into turn 3 for just to update this here, I did get this slightly wrong. We do end up trying to make the charge here. The spawn was dead from it previously. We do end up making trying to make the charge, and we fail with the boy drone, but we do make it in with a land raider. So we do have OC5 on this point, which is good for us. But this is the reason why some of the scouts still live. So I think in his second round of shooting, that both spawn die here. But yeah. Going into Josh's turn 3, then we have kept him off the primary. This dreadnought was on there. So one thing that we were deciding, obviously, at the start of each battle round for the Champions Contagion, I can change the additional buff that we get. And here I thought it was beneficial to have the Land Raider. So he was going to score. He must have had 2 scouts. He was going to score this primary, but if I reduce the hammer strikes OC by 1, he no longer is going to score this primary. There was something in the middle as well where he thought that if he raised, he was on. No, he wasn't. So I had 5 primary because the blight haulers are 3, and these are each 1. And he thought if he raised with Gilliman's third ability, it raises OC by 1. He was going to take this point off me by going up 6, but we did end up checking that, and turns out his OC4 base, and obviously with the -1 to the contagion choice anyway, he would have gone down. So I was always going to hold these 4 instead of him, but he kept his primary to just the 1 again on taking hold. So we're doing a good job of that. It's just we are running very low on our resources now. So one quick thing, we didn't end up killing this hammer strike because this ends up helping him out OC me on this point for tempting target. So this goes through. This goes down on my next turn. But yeah, he ends up taking this area with tempting target, and then he takes Bobby G and runs straight over for the Lord of Violence unit over here, and then Marnius and his Vitrix go down here. These guys just sort of come around so they can shoot everything. The ballistas also sort of moves the eradicators game because they're not needed for this turn, and then this guy just advances down. I think he says he'll advance and shoot that if he needs to. And then the Storm Raven does a bit of janky movement, comes down and ends up sort of here. It doesn't need to fall back here because they're obviously charging with these guys. So White Holly gets popped instantly. And then I think we lose 1 or 2 Death Shroud. And Marnius makes the charge into the Death Shroud here. He dies, but he comes back up. And then down here, we do a few wounds to these, but we don't pop them. And then Bobby G comes up here, and he only kills 2. And then with the fight back, we do. So Bobby G is dead up here, but with the hammer strike still alive on a few wounds. I think we shoot it with the Land Raider or the Bloat Drone, and that dies as well. So we've cleared out this point up here, so we're pretty happy with that. We do make the charge with Typhus and the Lord Contagion, but whichever one we attack with first is going to obviously swing and probably kill us in the interrupt. So maybe it wasn't the best idea to do both, but they were probably going to be dead either way, especially to the shooting that he's got all up here. And then we do not kill the hammer strike. It's still in combat because we charge it after shooting it. So we've got this point again. Unfortunately, he is going to score the center because of the piling he'll get from here. But one thing we did do is we banked on the tempting target, giving us a good amount of points, and we went for a 9-inch charge up here. Did fail it the first time, but we did slam it down the second, and we got as many points on there as we could, and we took that as a tempting target. So yet again, going into turn 4, He's only going to be on a 5, which is excellent news for us. It's keeping the game close. It's keeping me in the fight. I only score the 5 on the attempted target, and obviously don't get the display of Mike because he's got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and I've got 1, 2, 3. But Typhus lives, but the Lord of Contagion dies, and yeah, he's obviously outscoring me there. But it was probably better than I could have hoped. Banking that an inch charge, keeping the game close. So going into Joshua's turn 4. So turn 4, he gets Display of Might and Engage on all fronts. So Storm Raven just flies its way down here, and the Eradicators just pop out to say hello to the Tallyman, and unfortunately the Tallyman did not like them and died. So he's taking our home offers here and our CPU regen, but that's fine. One thing to note here is Josh. We're obviously playing in the clock with being round 5. Josh was running real low on time. He moved the Stern Guard, I think, through onto the point, and this Ballistas up onto the point as well. They weren't going to be doing anything else. Typhus ends up dying, I think, to the melee in the end, and this Ballistas just falls back, and these guys get absolutely rinsed. And then, yeah, pretty much it for that turn. He wanted to save some time for the last turn. I think he only had like a minute left to go, going into turn 5. But that was his turn 4. Obviously scored only the 5 on primary, but did get the Display of Might and Engage on all fronts. And then, so my turn 4, I actually scored 10 on primary. We've got this sort of lockdown down here, and the Lord of Virulence is happily scoring us stuff up here. And we get Secure No Man's Land and Mark for Death, so it's pretty much impossible for us. The only resources we have left are now over the fully this right side of the board. But it's at this point again where I probably should have tried and figured it all out. I still had plenty. I think I still had 15 minutes on the clock, and there was plenty left of the round time, of course. But the pace of the game with Josh being so tight on time, and me not necessarily been in that position before. I should have just taken a few minutes to breathe, figure out, what are the actual ways that I can score in this game. Look at my secondary deck, which I didn't do. So I could have potentially done a redraw at that point. Secure No Man's Land, I was going to be able to do for 2, but obviously it's not ideal. And then Mark for Death, he's obviously going to give me things that I can't. I think it was the Storm Raven, and the Ballista Shreds, and there's no way that I'm going to be able to do anything with those. So I do take the Hammer Strike as my Mark for Death as my gamma target. I think 2 points is better than the redraw. So we end up doing that. And we do end up killing the Hammer Strike with the shots from the Land Raider and the drone. But again, this is where I should have probably set up turn 5, you score bottom of turn scoring for primary. So if I can get it so that this drone is sort of like an unchargeable distance away down here, and the Land Raider can potentially threaten, or maybe the other way around, whatever it is, if I just put the drone sort of up here and then leave it so that it can have a reasonable advance into there, there's no point in me doing any shooting in the last turn. Obviously, if I get no prisoners or anything like that, but I didn't. I kind of just left these guys chilling, and yeah, it would have meant more points at the end of the game. Probably not changed the actual result. The main thing that I was sort of annoyed a bit with myself about is I also with it was me thinking that Josh didn't have enough time left in the game to particularly do anything. And from this position, I could see he was obviously going to get 15 on primary. So what's the point in sort of playing out the rest? But that's again sort of my naivety of Josh is obviously a well seasoned player and just wants to make sure that the game is through. So if I could go back and play this sort of last little section again, I would make this Lord of Virulence just walk far enough away, obviously staying out of line of sight, and just make it so that he could do an easy 5-inch walk onto this objective, however far away it was. And then no matter what, I'd be able to score this objective on the last turn, giving me 5 extra points, because there's no way that with an advance that he was going to be able to get onto this point with any of his units. But the fact that he had an advance and charge with this unit, I think he does roll a 6 on the advance, and then he gets the charge into the Lord of Virulence. So even if he doesn't end up killing this Lord of Virulence with his attacks, which he just didn't have the time to roll, there's no way that I'm scoring the point anymore because he's got the OC on there. So if I just put him here, he's unchargeable, and then I just walk on here, and I've got 5 points. So one of those things again. If you're doing nothing with a unit, you have to make sure that you're doing nothing with the unit because there's nothing to actually do with it. You can't make something harder. You can't move block anything useful, or whatever it is, because ultimately, when it comes to my turn 5, I've lost 9 points because I've not done this simple move with a lot of virulence. So to wrap up the game, Josh ends up scoring 15 on primary. He's got these 3 here, and he has established locus and cleanse. I think these guys go in here and do locus, and he cleanses on. He cleanses on here, and he cleanses on the objective over here, or whatever. Can't remember specifically what it was, but yeah, this was the main thing. That what I was saying is he makes the charge over here, but I would be able to score the 5 primary here because these obviously wouldn't be able to even touch this objective, and I end up drawing established locus on the last turn, which now I just can't score. There's no way I can get any of these units to the middle, and there's no way that I can get any of these units into his deployment to be able to do it. So lost 3-4 points there, and I also get no prisoners. And the things that I can actually see are the Storm Raven and these guys are all behind here now. So if these were still sort of stuck in here, or who knows, he might have just gone, right, well, I may as well type the Land Raider, so I'll advance and charge down here. That's fine, could have happened. If I kept these then like far enough away, that he would have to choose which one to go for. And then, like I say, I don't think there's a way I could have got the middle, but if I could have threatened it, and obviously he didn't have the time to sort of react to it because of the clock, maybe there was a way I could do it, but I definitely lost 9 points here by not doing such a simple move. So it's definitely something I want to improve in my game, is make that show up the game at the end. And that was it. Finished up as 59 versus 74. As mentioned, throwing away 9 points at the end there for no particular reason still leaves me in a lost position. But it would have put me in a much closer game. Would have put me only 6 points off. So yeah, pretty happy with how the game went. Anyway, definitely maybe went a bit too aggressive at the first turn, throwing away that plague marine unit. Took the gamble and hoped to get this sort of them well enough hidden, but it just didn't working. But a couple of nice things. I definitely felt like I got a count on myself. Like, obviously, Josh is the #1 player in the world right now on the ITC rankings. Constantly smashing people for 100 and managed to keep him to a 74. And out of the entire event, including the final rounds that he played, it was his closest game of the weekend. So I guess that's kind of a little trophy in itself. Pretty happy with how the event went in general. Had some lovely opponents. I think there's a couple of minor gripes. Like, I think in general, if we should be standardizing dice trays, the number of times where like dice were being rolled and they'd bounce behind terrain, and you never quite know. And you'd hope that the opponents aren't sort of like saying what the value is or changing it before doing it. But yeah, there's a couple of instances where I had to ask the opponent to sort of roll in the open, or I'd roll in the dice tray. I'd just much prefer it if that was the case. It gives you a much nicer vibe of the game. You're not constantly wondering, oh, what was that, or uh, the dice are just bouncing all over the table. And with UKTC, with the 5 rows of tables, you're never going to get a good angle onto the entire board. So I'd much prefer if they were sort of standardized for competitive play, especially sort of like as towards if you get towards the end. I know that chess clocks are sort of enforced. If you are in the X and O bracket, I'd prefer if the dice trays were as well. But yeah, a really fun event. Some really fun games in there. Some really tough games. some really brutal lists to go up against. But yeah, it was fun to go to and really fun to try and get that 5-0 at a UKTC Super Major, and we were probably going to be trying to do that at London as well if we can. Don't know if Death Guard are going to suffer the nerf before then. I imagine it probably will happen and does need to happen. Just some of the units are just way too undercosted, and very strong. But that's it. I think we've gone through all of the battle rounds. I do need to go back and do battle round 3. Um, the reason for that is I just don't really remember the game that much. Since Leeds, I've had a very busy schedule, and yeah, it's just trying to remember what actually went on there. Unfortunately, I didn't end up filming any footage like I have of the other games that one either. I am in contact with the opponent on the tryhard Discord, so I might try and just get a sort of play-by-play from his perspective and try and jog my own memory of what went on, so we can get that sort of bat rep up. But I don't just want to be putting a bat rep up going, oh, I think this went here, I think this went here, and I think this went here. So yeah, I've done the 4 that I can remember to the best of my knowledge, and I hope you have enjoyed the format of the sort of the um, at event videos, as well as the recreation of the game on TTS. It's been fun to go through, and I'm looking to get back into the swing of things with the games. I've had a little break since Leeds, so yeah, looking to see what happens once the data slate or the points adjustments does come out of a Death Guard, see where that leaves the detachments. Mortarian's Hammer definitely needs a nerf. It's the rule is just insanely broken. And then yeah, see what ends up happening. Will the Champions of Contagion be the the detachment I still go with? It is my favourite just because of the versatility of it all and the flexibility. Do want to have a little change around where the units are in there, so the uh, changes will spur that on. But yeah, once again, thank you to everyone for watching. Thank you to my opponents at Leeds, and please do like and subscribe. If you do enjoy the content, leave a comment. Let me know if you would have made any different plays here. You thought I was being too aggressive, or you feel like I should have done an obvious thing that I clearly missed. But yeah, thanks. Thank you all very much, and please look out for any content in the future. Bye.